Well, 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 the New York Islanders finally made a move. But was it the right one? Hey, hockey fans, welcome back. Welcome in if this is your first time joining us. I'm Josh. This is the Hockey Flow, and today it's Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. That's right, we're joining you for an early morning wake up call. Good morning, hockey fans. That's right. The New York Islanders, they waited quite some time, but they finally made a splash. So you know what that means, right? We got another question of the day for you. So we're going to get to that in just a moment on Today in Hockey. But before we get into that, we got to jump into our headlines, including this Matt Barzal news. Be sure to check out Today in Hockey History. We post those shorts every single day. And then we're going to get into it. Our question of the day. Matt Barzal, the Islanders. Is this the right move for the team? We're going to find out. Stick around for that. I do appreciate you guys. If you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton. We're just getting started, but you want to be a part of the best hockey community on YouTube after all. I do appreciate you guys. So let's get into it. Headlines, headlines, headlines. First up, we're not getting into the Islanders just yet. Vancouver Canucks, Brock Besser. We've got some good news for you guys. He did resume skating and puck handling less than a week out from hand surgery. So hopefully we see him back for the Canucks sooner rather than later. He is an excellent player. The NHL is always a better place for having him around. All right, here it is. News of the day. New York Islanders. Matthew Barzal signs an 8-year, $9.15 million extension with the team. My goodness, did he get paid? So we got to react to that. Let's jump into it. We got a question of the day on our hands. Was signing Matt Barzal to an 8-year, $9.15 million extension, was that the right move for the Islanders? We're going to dive into it with help from JFresh Hockey and HockeyReference.com. We're going to first look at the context. We're going to look at some history of Matt Barzal, his career to this point, and then we're going to look at some player comps, see who else is getting paid around that dollar figure to see, was this the right move for the Islanders? And only then can we give you an answer. So first up, the context. So we see a lot on the page here. First up, we see the stats over there. This is Matt Barzal's career stats. These are provided by HockeyReference.com. Big shout out to them. Absolutely love those guys. And we see the numbers. I tell you what, just right off the bat, nothing is really jumping out at me, right? We're talking $9.15 million a season. Something should be jumping out at me, and unfortunately the things that are jumping out at me aren't necessarily really positive right now. So he's been a solid NHLer so far, right? He has a ton of potential, ton of skill, is a playmaking centerman. I do like him on that left wing as well, but boy, that shooting percentage is something we have to keep our eyes on. So let's dive into it. Again, big shout out to JFresh Hockey on these player cards and Hockey Prospecting for his card down there, because I do like to see what the draft comps look like, those full comps, see if the player is developing along that course. So, all right, let's get into our talking points. The man just got paid, absolutely, $9.15 million starting next season, but he was already making $7 million a season, so it's not like this is a gigantic leap or anything. The Islanders, I think, had a little over $3 million in cap room, according to Cap Friendly, so this kind of just cuts up a little bit of that remaining cap space for him, but overall, it's not a huge leap necessarily for the team. It's only committing a couple million more dollars. And he still is young, right? He's still early in his career. There's still room to grow, depending on where you fall in that debate. When does a player's prime actually start? When does it end? He might not even be close to his prime yet, right? He's only going to be 25 this season. But last year was a down season. We see the player card right there. Only 70 percentile in the WAR. We would be expecting that, man. I would be expecting to see that at least in the 90s at that price point. Even at the 7 million per year, I would like to see that much higher, but he did. He had a down year, and the Islanders had a down year overall, right? Weird circumstances to start the season. You're playing so many road games. You're opening up a new barn, so I get it, right? The expectations were very high. Made that push towards the end, almost got to the playoffs, but just came up short. Then the offseason, we don't really change anything. So maybe that's okay though, right? Maybe that is all right. Matt Barzal had a down year. Well, what if he has a bounce back season? The projection does bode a little better, right? 88th percentile, that's looking much better. So the projection from JFresh Hockey does expect him to improve next season, and it fully expects his offensive game to pick up a little bit there. 94% even strength versus 91. We see the first assists is really where the projection thinks he's going to improve. That does mean that he's going to be getting the puck on his teammates' sticks, and his teammates are going to be finishing it this season. Again, that team didn't really make any changes, so those players, Brock Nelson, just going to have another strong season. Anders Lee, absolutely. Now, if we look at his career up until this point, 85 points was his career high with just 22 goals. So we do need to keep this in context. He hasn't really been a prolific goal scorer at this point in his career. If we look at the hockey prospecting card there and we look at the comps, some of the full comps kind of throw me off a little bit, but that does tie into his production at such a young age, right? His second season in the league, his first full season, puts up 85 points in 82 games played. My goodness, the sky is the limit for the young lad, but unfortunately, he hasn't progressed like we really were hoping he would. He did get to play a full season the year after that, but regressed a little bit. 62 points in 82 games. Then we have the COVID stuff start to happen, and then last season missed a little time with injury. So it's all good, but I would like to see that shooting percentage increasing. I don't like to see it just sit stagnant and then decrease like that. It's not a huge jump, but boy, it fell under 10% last season. That does worry me a little bit. I need to see some more positives. And now I do think he does need to be on the ice just a little more too. Now, don't get me wrong, 18, 19 minutes a game is a solid amount on the ice, but boy, if we could get him up to that 20 minute mark, get him to contribute a little bit, maybe even on the on the penalty kill a tiny bit, get those defensive numbers up a little bit. I really think that would also add to his value, right? But overall, he's going to have to produce to earn this deal. Absolutely. This deal is a little steep, so he is going to have to produce more if he is going to have to live up to this contract. But we can look at this contract through different eyes, through a different lens, if you will, or a few different lenses. We're going to look at some player comps. So if we look at the bottom of that hockey prospecting card, one of the players that stands out on the full comps, Kirill Kaprizov. Are you kidding me? Kirill Kaprizov. So we're going to take a look at him. Let's look at the comps. We got Kirill Kaprizov, and then I also pulled Patrick Laine, and then I found another player for very curiously at the price point I think might be our perfect comp, and which actually might make you happy, Islanders fans. So, all right, here we go. We see the player card again. This is his projection, and then we see Kirill Kaprizov's player card from last season. And this one, when I look at this, I look at Kirill Kaprizov's season last year. My goodness, he was fantastic. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, though. I do want to bring up 8.5 million was where I set the bar for the lowest in the cap friendly when I'm looking for contracts. Philip Forsberg, Mika Zibanejad, Leon Draisaitl, The King, and Steven Stamkos are all making $8.5 million this season. Matthew Barzal is going to be making more than them. So keep that in mind. We've got some players in the NHL that might be a little underpaid. We've got some value. Let's go Oilers. I'm nervous for what that next Draisaitl deal is going to be. But I digress. Let's get back to Matt Barzal. If we look at cap friendly and we look at the numbers and players that are similar to him in a cap hit range, we look at Mikko Rantanen, Kirill Kaprizov, and Patrick Laine are all around that 9.1 million mark, whether that be cap hit or total salary. Patrick Laine's cap hit was a little lower, I think 8.7, and Kirill Kaprizov's overall salary was actually like 12, but his cap hit for next season was right around that 9 million mark. So thought it'd be fun. Let's pull their player card. So Kirill Kaprizov absolutely would be the ceiling. That would be a dream if everything went perfect. That is the production the Islanders would want to see out of Matt Barzal. He absolutely would be living up to that contract. He would probably be exceeding the value of the contract at that point. But I do think that is a little bit of a pipe dream, right? We're looking at 40-plus goals, 100-plus points for Matt Barzal. His career to this point doesn't point in that direction. If anything, it's pointing to a direction of maybe he's sitting around 60, 70 points. But we can dream, right? So Kirill Kaprizov, I think, would absolutely be the ceiling. I don't think Matt Barzal is going to get to that level of production. Now, Patrick Laine, on the other hand, is another player that kind of struggled last season, had a down year. We see that. It's only 63 percentile in the WAR, so even worse than Barzal. But he's on the other end of the spectrum. The projection actually has him grading out lower, which I'm very surprised at. The team got better. The Blue Jackets absolutely got better. Laine had a down season, so it's absolutely surprising to see his numbers drop a little bit. I know his finishing was fantastic last season, so I guess the projection does expect that to fall a little bit, but I don't think Patrick Laine is the right comp either. Again, he's a different player. He's not a centerman. He's not a playmaker in this regard, right? I found a player, though, that I think is a great comp, and I actually think it will make Islanders fans happy. Nicklas Backstrom of the Capitals. Backy. Who's Backy going to pass the puck to? Well, who's Barzal going to pass the puck to? That's kind of the situation I think that the Islanders have found themselves in. If Matt Barzal is going to be your franchise cornerstone or one of them, then let's start surrounding him with talent, right? We want to see them make more moves in the offseason. We want to see them bring in more scorers around him. We already saw it. The shooting percentage is a little low, right? So maybe Matt Barzal isn't going to be our primary scorer, but boy, he can get that puck to people in dangerous spots. Absolutely. His passing numbers weren't too shabby at all. I think Nicklas Backstrom is a great comp. If we look at Nicklas Backstrom's career to this point, and Nicklas Backstrom is also making around this $9 million figure, don't get me wrong, Nicklas Backstrom got paid at an entirely different point in his career than Matt Barzal, but if we look at the stats, this is kind of what I think Matt Barzal's career could turn out like. If we look at the goals, maybe he scores a few more goals, but look at all these seasons, full seasons of right around 20 goals. That's something that Matt Barzal absolutely has already been achieving, and that's kind of what we're seeing. The other spot to look at, the shooting percentage. Matt Barzal, career high in shooting percentage was just under 13, a high 12, right? Well, look at Backy here. We have one season of 16.5 more recently, but then that's only 55 games. But then we look up, we see 14.2, 12.7, 15.5. That one's a little bit of an outlier, but I do think that the shooting numbers, the goals, the assists, that's where I think Barzal's numbers are going to start to increase. I really do think that Barzal, he could be 20 plus or minus 20 goals, plus or minus 60, 70 assists a season. We're looking at 80, 90, just under 100 points a season. I think if you're an Islanders fan, I think you're very happy with that. And that means other players on that team are producing as well. Maybe Matt Barzal doesn't have to be Batman. Maybe he can be Robin or Batman Jr., something like that. But all of things considered, right? We looked at the history. We looked at Matt Barzal up until this point. We've looked at some comps. Backy is a good one. It's time to answer our question of the day. Was signing Matt Barzal to an 8-year, $9.15 million extension the right move for the team? You know what? Time will tell. I know that's not the best answer, and right off the cuff, maybe that is a little bit of a steep price to pay, but you got to keep your talent in-house, right? You can't let Matt Barzal walk for nothing. If you're going to trade him and start over again, my goodness, you don't want to do that. The Islanders want to contend. They're a quote-unquote playoff team. They have playoff aspirations. I think it's time to build around Matt Barzal, get some more scorers around him, and you know what? He could turn out and have a career just like Nicklas Backstrom, and no one would complain about the dollar figure. $9 million would be a great dollar figure. Give him another extension at the end of that 8 if he can keep playing. But what do you guys think? Was this the right move for the New York Islanders, inking Matt Barzal to this big deal? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Let me know down in the comments. Be sure to remember to like, subscribe, all that jazz. I do appreciate you guys. And also be sure to check out some of our other videos. Our Today in Hockey History. Those are always fun if you like the short videos, and then we always do different question of the days and Today in Hockey, so be sure to check those out. I do appreciate you guys. Until next time, hockey fans, cheers.